So what I'd like to do is wrap up here and talk about some other resources that are out there that'll hopefully help you guys get started doing a project like this at your own garden or your own piece of property. So just to kind of summarize what we've gone over today, so we talked about at the beginning, we kind of went over basic GIS concepts and learned some real basic skills of how to work with ArcMap and ArcCatalog applications. We learned about geodatabase terminology and what a data model is, and how the public garden data model template can be used for mapping your garden. We learned some techniques for using aerophotography to kind of draw in features on the map called heads-up digitizing. And then we learned how to take all that data that we had created and collected and put it on putting it on a mobile device and taking it out and collecting data in the field, bringing those changes back in, and then we just kind of finished up creating a really basic plant collection or map for our garden. So I want to talk a little bit about the Alliance for Public Gardens GIS. We have a website online at apgg.org that we're slowly trying to build into kind of a one-stop shopping point for getting resources and help for starting a project like this. And we currently have a Google group forum for kind of community support that people can ask questions on and get help from either myself or other people in this room or other members of the groups. If you're in different formats, we have Twitter and an RSS feed that you can subscribe to kind of get updates about new things that we might have available, new resources, or anything we think that might be interesting or helpful to you guys. And more recently, we've been using a LinkedIn group, which LinkedIn is kind of like the Facebook for business. And that has become really popular, and there's been a lot more discussions on there going on, and so I might recommend subscribing to that one or joining the group on there if you're into it. And even more recently than that, we started a Facebook group as well. So depending on what format you prefer, we're pretty much trying to deliver all of our information out through all of those avenues. But the LinkedIn group is definitely the most active for people discussing and asking questions. So if you had a question you were interested in finding an answer to, you could post it on there and people can chime in. We currently have a YouTube channel that we've been posting some videos to for training, but I think we're going to actually be migrating to a new Vimeo channel that we're going to have some training videos on. We hope to eventually edit the video from today and post that online. But you can also go onto our website, and we have videos from our previous training workshops on there that you can look at in the meantime. So I want to talk a little bit about this grant program that Esri has put together for us. And if you are a member of the American Public Gardens Association, or the garden that you work for is a member, you can apply to receive Esri's software, so the software we've been using today, ArcMap and ArcPad, or ArcGIS, excuse me, and some extensions for free for a period of 3 years. And that grant also gives you access to online training resources, even standby training and some other instructor-led classes if the class is not full, and some books for getting started, like I believe that one that you've got sitting there. Also, it gives you free registration to their user conference that's in San Diego every year, which is a really awesome resource for connecting with other GIS users and getting started learning how to do this stuff. So I think I need to change this email address here, but if you are interested in that program, you basically want to send an email to Angie in the back of the room here, and she can help get you started with that. So we'll talk just briefly about this grant program that we have at the UC Davis Arboretum. It's not a grant program, but a grant we actually received. And this grant is basically to develop a lot of GIS training resources for museum professionals, or public gardens in particular. So that grant's helping us fund to develop the Alliance for Public Gardens GIS website. It's helping us build the social networks that I was just talking about for us to be able to connect with you guys and deliver information. It's funding us to be able to make some materials for kind of making the case to garden directors and administrators that GIS is the right thing for their garden and why. And we're working on creating what we're calling a guide to GIS book, but we actually think that it's going to be more in an online format to be able to access some information on kind of walking you through every step of the process from deciding whether or not GIS is right for you, how to get funding for your project, what kind of equipment to get, how to actually do the mapping, all those little steps we're going to try to write up and make available online. And then Mia is working on a model volunteer program to help make it easier for gardens to recruit and train volunteers to be able to help them do some of the heavy lifting that's involved in creating a GIS. And then we're also working with Esri on creating a professional services program that'll connect gardens with local GIS professionals who may want to volunteer some time to the garden, who have are experts in using GIS and can really help accelerate your project. And then we're doing a series of training videos on how to do some of the stuff that we covered today and some other topics of interest, how other gardens do GIS. And then it's been helping to fund some of these workshops that we've been doing. So all that stuff we're hoping to make available through our Alliance for Public Gardens GIS website for you to access and help you along in your project. Any questions? Well, thanks a lot. We have a little bit of extra time. If there aren't any questions, I would like to show you a bit of a new thing that we're working on that we've been doing with the Arnold Arboretum. I think there may have been some flyers out about a application called Collection Researcher that we were working on at the Arnold Arboretum. And that application allows us to do lots of things, and it's basically built if you have downloaded the data model or the template that we're working with today and you built your GIS. We're hoping to turn this this application into a template that you can set up at your own garden, and it'll help you to get your collection data online. And let's see, I'm actually going to just show, yesterday I did a demo, but I'm going to just show the this little video here, I think, today. So as I mentioned, we're going to start using Vimeo.com. I'm going to log into this guy. I'm going to show you this quick video. And it'll give you kind of a demo of what this guy can do. Not sure we're going to get any sound out of it, but so this is a web application we have available for testing out at the Arnold Arboretum. Yeah, a little bit of sound, huh?
Your microphone.
I don't know where it's coming out of. There we go. So you can search for plants, see your results all through the web browser. Export your results to a file that you can open up in Excel. It links to online images. And profiles on the plant from the USDA. Herbarium specimens if you have a herbarium at your garden. Even we have research articles linked to it from Google. So this application is meant mostly for research purposes, but can be adapted for visitors as well. Yeah, is it too loud back there? You can mark up your maps. Say you've gone out and you planted some new things and you want to notate those, or you're interested in a particular area. And then, just as we just did, you could generate PDF maps that show what you've searched for and any drawings that you've done. So we're hoping that we can make this this application available as a template so that anyone using the data model can set this up at their own garden. So look for that hopefully in the next few months.
Do you know how many people are using your software?
Just in March, we released kind of a beta version of the data model or the template that we've been using. And since then, there's been 120 downloads. It's been almost a year, about 120 downloads. So I think there's quite a few institutions that are using it. Yeah.
And again, this is an app that uses.
Yeah, so what it does is it's a web application that stands by itself, but all the data that you see on it comes from the data model. So we have the data model set up at the Arboretum, the Arnold Arboretum, and it's pulling information from that to display in the web browser.
The app will be available this year?
Yeah, we're hoping to make it available, definitely this year. We're hoping to distribute it for free. So. Any other questions? Yeah.
Our site has an ArcGIS data base map, rather, that somebody created, and we've wanted for a long time to kind of add the collection layer to it.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the best way of approaching that, kind of starting back at square one, or is there a way to kind of overlay this program that's really specific to public gardens on top of it? I mean, how would you approach that? So
I'm sorry, I think I missed the first part of that. What did you say you had some existing data that was?
An ArcGIS base map was created for this property that shows the stone walls and the ArcGIS.
Sure.
Lots of different layers, but the plant layer, the tree layer, hasn't been added. And, what we were using today with all the botanical names and everything really would make that process much easier. How would you merge the two?
Sure. So there's a couple different ways you can go about it. Basically, we've set up the data model or the template we were working with today so that you would import any data that you have already into it. So if you have a layer that has your walls on it, you would load that into the appropriate part of the data model, which is the barrier feature class. If you had benches, you could load those into benches, and you would take bits and pieces and put them in the appropriate location of the model. You can also take a little bit quicker and dirtier approach and just the information that you already have, you can add that in as layers in your ArcMap document, as we kind of were doing today. And then if you wanted to map plants, you could use the data model and the Plant Center feature class we're using today, and just put that in, add that in as another layer, and store stuff in there. And you could slowly transition to using the template completely, or just use whatever parts of it you'd like. So you can the ideal approach is to put everything into the one container and use the template in its entirety, but it's totally possible to use bits of it and overlay it with your current information. Any other questions? Well, this went much faster and smoother than we did yesterday. We're done almost a whole hour earlier, so I'm happy about that because my vocal cords are not going to last too much longer. So I appreciate it. Thanks.